Next question. I have another question about YouTube SEO. What do you think is the best way to get Google to crawl YouTube videos so it can index them and or update meta titles that were changed? I'm currently having these types of issues right now where many of my videos aren't indexed yet, albeit it's only been like 1 or 2 weeks since I created them, and in some cases changed the meta title well over a month ago, and Google is still showing the old meta title. I vaguely remember you having a course about YouTube SEO, so could you share the name of it so I can check it out? Thanks in advance. Our YouTube SEO course specifically was called YouTube Mastery, and it was basically derived from the master class, like the first 8 weeks of the master class. Ethan, I don't know if you're in the master class, but if you are, I just go back and watch the first 8 weeks of master class in the members area. The other, if you want to purchase that course, it's like, I don't know, $67. It's called YouTube Mastery. Just search Google for YouTube Mastery by Semantic Mastery, and you should be able to find it. It's a little bit dated in that some of the interfaces have changed. You know, the interface has changed slightly in YouTube since we recorded those videos, but all those principles still stand that are taught in that course. But as far as your videos not being indexed, you know, that's kind of, it might be a channel thing. I don't know, Ethan. I'm just making an assumption here. I know that there's been some flukes in the past where I've had videos that just flat out wouldn't index. And it's just weird. Like, it's kind of like just an anomaly, so to speak, when that happens. If you have multiple videos on the same channel that aren't indexing, it might be a channel issue. I don't know that that's the case, but that's something I would look into. Like, take the same video, one of the videos from your channel, upload it to another channel, even if it's a test channel that you just create, to see if it will index right away. And if it does, then it can lead you to believe, right? You can make the assumption that your other channel has got an issue of some sort. However, that said, if you want Google to crawl your videos, there's 2 things you can do. One, if you have a Twitter account that's a real active Twitter account, you can tweet the URLs. That seems to get the bots come crawling very quickly. Something else you could do is drop a link in a Google Doc, right, and set the Google Doc to public so anyone on the web can see it, right? And then, because Google Docs...
Stop. Look, I think you're going to give that away.
You can do that. There's also the Google Crawl, the submit tool for Search Console, right? So if you go to Google and you search submit URL, right? You got to be logged in to your Google Search Console. But if you put submit URL to Google, it's going to be this first link right here. You have to be logged in, but you can also submit it directly to Google. Okay? And that's all you need to do. And again, if you now, as far as the index updating for like your YouTube titles and stuff, that's not something you have any control over. You can't force Google to update. And it typically with YouTube stuff, though, well, at least the thumbnail image will update almost immediately. But like the YouTube title and stuff like that, and the search results, that it depends on what kind of industry you're in. Some industries, the index gets refreshed more often than others, and some it's just really, really slow. Like, for example, some of the home services industries that I work in, like the index doesn't refresh for like sometimes a few weeks. And so you'll make a change to a SEO title for a post, for example, or a page or something like that. And sometimes it'll be 10 days, 2 weeks before the title's updated in the search results. And that's just because they don't refresh those results as much, because it's not as heavily as a changing industry, if that makes sense. The industries that are content heavy, where there's a lot of activity, like, for example, the tech industry, something like that, those kind of results refresh a lot more often than, say, roofing results would. Okay? So you don't really have any control over that. But if you want to get them to, you can check to see if they're indexed by doing, for example, the submit tool right here, and then just do the info operator. If you go to Google and you type in info colon, right, info colon, and then you put the YouTube URL in, it'll show whether it's indexed or not. Okay, so for example, let me just grab something from our YouTube channel real quick. One of our recent videos, let's say this one, for example. We'll copy that link address. We'll come over here and paste that in. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. Forgive me. Let me go back to Google. We'll say info colon, and that one's, let's get rid of this. That one's not indexed yet. Okay, well, that one's not indexed yet, but they typically will index, and you'll be able to see it very quickly. You could actually even probably just search directly on No, that's not showing up either. But that's typically how I will go about it. Again, if you've got a Twitter account that's active, that's one of the best ways to do it, because then it's like it's not as spammy, so to speak, because you're like naturally getting bots to come crawl it.